All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very interesting video today called Why Wuwa Player-Centric Evolution is Better Than Other Gachas. Now, this feels like a Wuwa Glaze video. I feel like they gonna be, talking sweet about Wuwa, but y'all know me. If they say something that's out of pocket or anything, we gonna call them out. But if they're talking good about the game, it's always good to have a look and see what they're gonna say. Let's see how Wuwa is better than other gachas.
As a gamers, we all have different reasons why a game clicks with us. Maybe it's the thrill of the battle, or the joy of exploration, or the
Yeah.
slow burns payoff of story and progression. But no matter what drives us,
Or Cantarella's fat titties, whatever it may be, there are many reasons why us gacha players end up playing these gacha games, right? Not just because we're sick in the head, it's also all these other things that these games have to offer.
one thing's certain, our expectation as players keep climbing higher. That rising bar pushes the developer to constantly innovate, or risking being replaced by the next big title dropping every year. And for that, I would say Wuthering Waves has managed to not only secure a solid place in the hyper-competitive market, but also carve a spot in players' heart.
Yeah.
With the announcement of version 2.6, Kuro Games finally seems to have cracked the formula, creating a game that satisfies both hardcore veterans and casual newcomers.
I think we're glazing it a little bit. We ain't there yet. We gotta see what 2.6 brings to the table, but hey, let's let him cook.
How? By simply stepping away from the traditional gacha pitfall where spending is the only ticket to the full experience. Version 2.6 feels like Kuro's way of saying,
We did not just keep up, we level up.
unlike earlier gacha titles that tried to patch over weak foundation with flashy new content or half-baked system, Kuro went back to the drawing board. Instead of duct taping the solution, they
Okay, yeah.
re-engineered the core experience to raise overall player satisfaction. One of the best examples is the long-awaited expansion of the flying mechanism.
I know that we're gonna talk about this, bro. This was big. I don't think people understand how big this is for a developer to go back to the 1.0 area that a lot of the veteran and spenders are not really going back to and change something that literally doesn't need to be changed. It makes the game so much better, but we all got through it without flight, so they really didn't need to do this. But the fact that players were specifically asking for this and they said, we got y'all, this was pretty big. This pretty much tells me that in the future, if players ask for things that improve the quality of the game, and they're gonna be loud about it, things will get changed, because I'm pretty sure Kuro didn't have plans to add flight to these other regions. Otherwise, they would have done it from the moment they added flight into the game. But they saw what people were saying, they worked on it, and they gave it to us.
After 5 version updates, player can finally soar freely across Jinzo, a feature that fans has been hoping since version 2.0. And it's not just a fun gimmick, it meaningfully improves traversal, exploration, and the resource collection problem. Paired with the new upgrade of the loot mapper's wide range, the two system clicks together like the
This is
final
nice,
piece of
too.
a puzzle.
I love this because looking for treasures in that 1.0 area is a pain. So this is going to be real nice, bro. They were kind of forced to do it because of how many times people ask for it. How many people have been asking Hoyo for insane changes that they've never gotten, ever? When you think about it, yes, there was a loud, crowd of people asking for flight, but let's be real, they weren't forced. They could have just simply said, yeah, we're not going to do it because we don't have time, it's not in our focus, we planned other ways of traversal in the map. And at the end of the day, most people would have just been like, it is what it is. They would have dropped cars, they would have let us use cars and just no flight. We would have gotten no flight. They really had no obligation to do this. They simply did it to please their audiences, bro. And this is why that was such a big thing for me, bro. Seeing flight get implemented to 1.0 areas.
It's not just an update, it's a strong statement. proving that Kuro is not chasing for short-term hype, but actively refining the standard of the genre. Because instead of giving the bare minimum, they raise the bar for what a game should deliver at every critical point, offering more, not less. This is a huge success because we can see this shift doesn't just stay with Wuthering Waves, as it actually changed the trend of other gacha titles, like how weapon banners should have been guaranteed, not locking major exploration advantages behind characters' ability, and rewards mastery instead of punishing older meta. This level of execution makes the long-time veteran feel value while also making the newcomers feel welcome.
Crazy how he's talking about how it makes it so old metas are still relevant and all of that. And just today I dropped a video talking about things like this, and someone was saying that old units get completely forgotten in Wuthering Waves. And I'm here asking myself, like, who are these folks that be yapping like that? Anybody that actively plays Wuthering Waves knows that characters like Jin Shi and Jian are still clearing all endgame content. So where are these people coming out of nowhere saying, oh yeah, the 1.0 units all got forgotten and, you know, they're not useful anymore? Like, who are, bro, like, you ain't playing Wuthering Waves, you playing some bootleg ass version of the game or something, bro, because anybody that actively plays the game knows that even though, yes, obviously newer units are getting stronger, their kits are getting more intricate, the first ever units to get added to the game over a year ago now are still clearing all content. Even if they don't do it as fast, they're still clearing everything with 3 stars, getting max rewards. So that was a good point.
In short, it mirrors exactly what players expect from a game, respecting their time, effort, and investment. That dynamic forms a kind of mutual trust, a bridge between players and the developer, and that bond doesn't just strengthen the community, it directly amplifies the game's value, creating a win-win cycle that benefits everyone involved. For new players or casual gamers, version 2.6 is arguably the perfect entry point. Why? Because right from the start, it hands you genuine freedom. In game design, the FTUE, or the first-time user experience, is one of the most critical aspects of a product. Those 30 minutes
that's another thing, bro. Okay, let him finish this and then I'll say what
opening act as the hook, the moment that decides whether a player sticks around or quietly uninstall. Get it wrong, you lose them before the game even begins.
That's one of those things, bro. That's one of those things that makes flight so important in 1.0. I don't know about y'all, but one of the things that people often praise for Wuthering Waves is its movement system. Even in 1.0, the fact how you could climb buildings without any problem whatsoever, the fact that you can like flip over the edges of the buildings, the fact that you don't use, you know, stamina while you're just normally running, the grapple hook, all of that was highly praised, right? But on top of that, add flight to the roster of things you're going to be able to use to explore the map in 1.0 as some of your first impressions of the game. Being able to soar through the game the way that flight works is going to be so good for player retention and, you know, player investment as time goes on.
Get it right, and you have secured not just attention but potential long-term engagement. What Wuthering Waves nails here is respecting that delicate balance. Enough guidance to keep you oriented, but enough freedom to make you feel in control. Because as I mentioned before, a 2-hour session might feel like a warm-up for veteran players, but for someone that just dipping in during their free time, that same 2 hour can feel like an entire adventure. Instead of bogging you down with busy work and endless small errands, Wuthering Waves let you dive straight into exploration with minimal restriction. I mean, you can literally challenge a level 120 enemy with level 20 character. It might not end well.
I don't remember who it was. Back in my old channel, I had a stream where y'all made me fight that freaking bear with level 1 characters, bro. I was in that thing for like 20 minutes, bro. It was crazy. I remember that specific bear, bro.
Feel like Sung Jin Woo of the game, or you leave the game due to rage quitting. But that design choice respects players' time and makes the game feel alive rather than gated. Because I've seen a lot of comments, if they want a slow burn, they'd rather read a book instead of playing a boring game. And again, paired with the new flying system in Jinzo, the early gameplay suddenly feels wide open. But before we talk more about this, if you made it this far and you've been enjoying my content lately, or you just stumbled across this one, please consider subscribing, because why not? It really helps and motivates me to make more content like this. And
you heard him, guys. If you like my content, subscribe, hit the like button, drop a comment on the video, all that good stuff, because it motivates me to make more content. And definitely check him out as well. This video so far is pretty good.
smash that like button if you were vibing with it. And now, I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video. And for the veteran players, version 2.6 is more than just an update as well. It's a milestone that proves the developers actually care. Not just about our wallet, but about our actual attention and long-term engagement with the game. Take the improvements to the endgame content, for example. Whimpering Wastes was one of the community's pain points. Much of its content did not align with player expectation at one point. But
a lot of people still don't like Wuwa, even though they've done improvements to it. It's because the AI, to a certain degree, is still a pain. And it's very specific. You know how Tower is to a certain degree specific? It is to a certain degree catered to the characters that drop with every patch. Wuwa is not only specific in that regard, but also that you gotta make sure that your characters are good at clearing AoE and waived content. So a lot of things kind of match that some players might not particularly have built, and it gets to be a little bit more tedious. It's not necessarily a bad game mode, but there has to be some improvements that keep happening to make it so players aren't so at edge when it comes to this particular game mode.
instead of just slapping on the surface level fixes, Kuro went deeper and restructured the system to minimize the frustration. In 2.6, they finally changed the mechanism for the burning waves, which will give you specific buffs like 100% resonance energy or 40% critical boost. Previously, this could only be triggered after clearing a set number of waves, but now the ember for this buff built progressively as you fight mobs, creating a smoother power curve and keeping the momentum flowing. This is a smart adjustment, especially considering how Kuro has been carefully managing power creep.
Bro, y'all realize how crazy it is that these dudes at Kuro Game release almost a new map with almost every patch? Like, it's actually crazy when you think about it, because it releases almost every patch a brand new map. They're releasing characters, kits, they're releasing all these little quests and all these extra things. And at the same time, every single patch for the past like fucking year pretty much has come with quality of life changes that have actively and progressively improved the game. Every single time, bro. It's pretty damn impressive when you look at it, bro. Like, it's pretty damn impressive, if you ask me, bro.
As I mentioned in my very previous video, their approach has
2.0 whole ass region, 2.1 new map, 2.2 new map, 2.3 nothing, 2.4 whole ass region, 2.5 new map, 2.6 new map. Exactly, bro. Bro, 2.0, 2.1, 2.2 new maps. We get a break of 2.3 with nothing, 2.4 whole ass region, 2.5 new map, 2.6 new. Bro, like, they be cooking when it comes to that. Like, you gotta realize that, bro. It's a whole lot of freaking updates, and they still have managed to be like, oh yeah, so we're gonna go back to 1.0 areas and fix some shit over there. Even though it's a year-old map, just because we want to make sure that the quality of the game keeps on growing, bro. It's insane. To me, even though, like, everything, and I don't want to overglaze, we are going to glaze some things, but I don't want to overglaze. Like everything, it's a gacha game, it's a company. They're trying to get our money, yada, yada, yada. But when it comes to customer satisfaction and the fact that they are actively trying and improving their game, is one of the best I've seen from a lot of gacha games. And I've played a lot of gacha games in my time, but Kuro does a great job not only pushing out new content, but continuing to improve older content as well as new content, which is crazy.
not been just to inflate the numbers. Instead, they've increased the enemy's HP and the resistance, while also designing the enemies with elemental counters to keep the power level in check. And I think up until now, they're still fine-tuning the formula for both challenge and fairness in mind. All these updates stacks together to form a real milestone and receive a fairly positive reviews from players, because it's the one that impacts the entire base, whether new, old, casual, or even hardcore players. With most of the past issues now addressed, Kuro has made sure that everything in this game is tuned for excitement rather than covering up with a new half-baked mechanism. The priority list is finally filled in the right order, balancing the combat, exploration, and quality of life. And lastly, with the version 2.6 leaning towards the endpoint of the Renasita's path, the roadmap ahead looks even more interesting. The upcoming character roster teased by Wuthering Waves officials suggests
Ooh, look at these two looking fancy up in here, bro.
the new regions will come into play, setting a
Homie said, we don't got time for no Galbrina, bro. It's all about Chisa and Kiyuan, bro.
precedent of how the game might expand in the future. Just like how 2.5 story leaned into tragedy, seems like 2.6 will also carry the same emotion weight. At least judging from the hints in its trailer, maybe it's Yuno's time to follow Prolova's path.
Oh
Maybe.
boy.
Could be wrong though, as sometimes trailer just pulling the classic twist in our expectation. But either way,
bro, we gotta save Foot Waifu, bro. Look, I'm gonna just tell you guys, if we're able to save Yuno, she's gonna let us suck her toe, bro. So you gotta make sure that you put your A game, bro. You gotta make sure that you're ready for 2.6, bro, because, hey man, all about them Yuno toes.
this patch feels like Kuro's checklist moment, tying up loose ends, ensuring the current experience is polished, which will help them to focus more confidently on future content.
He said that perfectly, bro. After I go back to look at what they're bringing to 2.6, my initial reaction to 2.6 was it looks great, area looks great, story looks great, events are a little bit lackluster. But when I go and look back at what this patch means, and this was really well put here, it feels like they're tidying a bunch of loose ends with everything we've had so far. They're going back to 1.0 areas and fixing things over there. They're improving some of the things in like Wuwa, for example, that he talked about. They're fixing a lot of little things that people have often, you know, been vocal about and complained about. So when they move over to 3.0, I feel that it's going to be like a new big thing. It's like he said, a lot of these gacha games, instead of fixing these past problems, they'll drop like new shiny game modes and new shiny things. And then people will be like, oh yeah, we forgot about the old shit. And then the old things kind of just die out in the back and forgotten. They're like, nah, bro, we're going to tidy up everything before we go on to 3.0. I don't know what's going to come with 3.0, but I feel it's going to be like, it's going to feel fresh, bro. That's one thing I can tell you guys. I feel that 3.0 is going to feel fresh.
Letting the problems pile up and worse never even made to the game. Wuthering Wave is making the right moves to secure the new players' interest while also retaining its player base. But what about you? Do you think this patch sets Wuthering Waves up for long-term success, or is it just another short-term win? Let us know in the comment section. So, that's all for this.
This was a good video, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to the homie. He did a good job with that video. You know, we glazed it up together. Everybody was here glazing it a little bit, because I feel that at the end of the day, bro, you can call out the things that aren't that good, but you also got to give props where props are due. And, bro, it ain't glazed if it's facts, bro. Wuwa's doing a great job. But yeah, man, if you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe. Let me know what you think of 2.6. It drops in a few days, so we're going to be playing it, testing it for ourselves. But overall, the future for Wuthering Waves, thanks to Kuro, is bright. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.